So what do you guys think about the idea we discussed some time back, video and interviews of linemen across the state?
I think it's a great idea. I think we get to see their take on safety. We got a lot of great linemen that have done it right for years, and all these other linemen at these co-ops, get to see their take on it.
I agree completely. It would be a great opportunity to learn from each other. Let's give it a try.
My name is George Amos. I've been here for 23 years, and I'm a lead lineman.
George is always ready to make you smile. He's got a positive attitude all the time, caring, team player. He tells some great stories. He can definitely make you laugh.
George is a real nice person. Probably somebody, if you wanted to go talk to about something, he would listen, give you his opinion, feedback, and let you know probably what the situation is, what you need to do.
What I love about being a lineman is different things every day. And I started out in the warehouse, and then I sat there and I watched the guys, how they climbed the poles and stuff like that, and it was something that I wanted to try. And ever since I tried it, I made the best choice of my life. I enjoyed it. It's a joy to see people coming out thanking you for getting their life and getting there at a correct time and all like that. But it's just the joy, just the feeling that lifts you up. Like, I love doing my job. What I contributed is if you go in with a positive attitude, your day will go better.
It doesn't matter any situation that you put him in or that you want to talk to him about, he always has a positive outlook in the end of it.
He'll always be there when he tells you he'll be there. And if you need something, it don't matter if it's 10 spans or 10 feet, he'll go get it and never complain.
I always like to go in there and just have a joyful day and just make everybody else have a joyful day, who I'm working with or who I'm not working with. It's just me, that's where I was raised, It's just to have a joyful day, make it happy for everybody. Take your time, do it safely, and go home. And inspire yourself to learn more each day from your foreman or from a lineman who's over you. And just inspire yourself to go forward.
Definitely. There's your bucket.
Oh, thank you for my bucket.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thanks
that.
for coming through.
Yes.
There you go, ma'am.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Yes, there's your bucket.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Get to meet you and give you your bucket.
All right.
You have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much. Your bucket of bulbs. Have a great day. All right. Thank you. Bye.
The 74th annual meeting of Kentucky Electric Cooperatives is made possible through the generous support of CFC, CoBank, Federated Rural Electric Insurance Exchange, NRTC, and United Utility Supply Cooperative.
Hello and welcome to the 74th annual meeting of Kentucky Electric Cooperatives. I'm Bob Berry, Chairman of the Kentucky Electric Cooperatives Board and President and CEO of Big Rivers Electric. For the day's invocation, we turn to co-op employees across the Commonwealth to be followed by our national anthem.
Almighty God, as we gather as a cooperative community, help us to be guided by a cooperative spirit.
Our cooperative mission allows us to serve one another in a common cause that we know is pleasing to you, our God, whose goodness and love for us all is eternal.
So let us be faithful and bold on behalf of those who need us for the power, the light, the data, and human connections that link us all.
Lead us toward wisdom and action in responding to the challenges that come before us.
And please, Lord, keep safe our line crews and our co-ops and our public safety workers in our community.
Bless the soldier, the sailor, the pilot, and all those serving in the military.
Please help all those affected by the coronavirus. Help our nation heal and help us emerge from this year with resilience.
Let us always give you thanks in all we do, and offer praise for the wondrous blessings with which you have showered on us.
In God's name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
In this second year of the statewide Co-ops Association's Reliable, Resilient, and Responsive campaign, we focused on the word resilient. Considering the many challenges presented in 2020, there is no better time to be reminded of the resiliency of Kentucky's electric cooperatives. Just as co-ops across Kentucky have adjusted throughout this year to the safety restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic, changing operations to protect consumer members and employees, this year's statewide annual meeting is fully virtual and socially distanced. For instance, I'm speaking to you today from Big Rivers Electric in Henderson, and each of our speakers will be joining us remotely. We would like to thank everyone who has contributed to this meeting, including our sponsors and the statewide association staff. Joe Arnold is Vice President of Strategic Communications for Kentucky Electric Cooperatives. Joe, we'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Bob, and thank you for your leadership on the board. Though we are disappointed that the pandemic prevents us from meeting in person this year, we're grateful that modern technology allows us to not only connect those who traditionally attend the Kentucky Electric Cooperatives annual meeting, but also those members of our electric cooperative community who may right now be attending this meeting for the first time. Welcome. This is your statewide association, and we are glad you are here virtually. As you know, safety is a top priority of Kentucky's electric co-ops. Now for today's safety moment, let's go to Kentucky Electric Cooperatives safety instructor, Randy Meredith.
Distracted driving is the leading cause of the more than 2.5 million motor vehicle crashes in the United States each year. Every day, as many as 1,000 Americans are injured in distracted driving crashes. To avoid becoming distracted, think about how your brain works. Have you ever arrived at your destination without remembering big parts of the trip? That's an example of how your brain becomes disengaged while performing routine tasks. Two areas of our brain are constantly competing to control our behaviors. The fast brain controls our automatic actions and reactions, while the slow brain controls our analytic thinking and reasoning. Research shows that when you're doing two things at once, like talking on the phone and driving, your brain is actually toggling control from your fast brain to your slow brain and then back again. It takes your slow brain up to 13 seconds to refocus on your surroundings after looking at your phone. Even if you only glanced at it for a second, as your brain refocuses, your driving skills are not at their best. Visual distractions such as checking GPS and navigation systems are fast brain functions. Manual distractions like searching for controls in your vehicle and eating can tax both fast and slow brain functions. Cognitive distractions that can impair slow brain abilities are emotions, stress, and fatigue. Nearly 80% of crashes involve driver inattention in the 3 seconds right before the crash. A person who texts and drives is 6 times as likely to have a crash than someone who drives drunk. Remember, just reading a text is still texting, and even if you're following all the guidelines, other drivers may not be. Knowing these safety facts can help you arrive home safely. That's today's safety moment. Joe, back to you.
We will now hear the regional power supply reports from Big Rivers Electric, East Kentucky Power Cooperative, and the Tennessee Valley Authority. First, let's go back to Big Rivers and CEO Bob Berry.
Big Rivers Electric Corporation continues to navigate the challenges of 2020 and set a path that best serves our member owners. While this year has brought unexpected and unprecedented variables, we are proud to share some important company achievements. In March of 2020, Big Rivers, like most cooperatives, made major changes to how our employees work. Within a matter of days, we transitioned more than 100 headquarter employees to working remotely, while our plant employees began a new routine of careful social distancing and limited contact. It wasn't easy. When the initial outbreak hit, we were in the middle of a planned maintenance outage at our Wilson station, and roughly 120 employees and 600 contractors daily were working on that project. Our dedicated employees rose to the occasion, and our operations have continued to adapt. Big Rivers remains on track to surpass financial goals, allowing us the ability to return additional savings to our member owners and position our cooperative for a strong financial future. Due to strong net margins in 2019 and 2020, Big Rivers successfully asked the Public Service Commission for a number of changes in how we allocate funds beyond what's needed to reach a tier of 1.30. First, we will begin expensing an additional $67 million annually to resolve our regulatory assets, a move that now comes without any rate increases to our member owners. Our member owners stood by us during the hardships and rate increases of past years. Now that we stand in a stable and improved position, we want to pay back that support in the form of lower energy costs. With that said, Big Rivers will return an estimated $66 million to our member owners during the next 4 years. We have also made great strides in diversifying our power portfolio and lowering the amount of risk to our member owners. Earlier this year, we selected 2 companies for solar power contracts, totaling 260 megawatts. These new solar farms will all be built within our footprint and provide competitive power prices for the next 20 years. The decision to add solar to our resource portfolio was an economic decision that provides the most value to our member owners. It was not based on feelings. The Public Service Commission has now approved these plans, along with the transmission upgrades needed to serve the new $1.35 billion Nucor steel mill. We know that the coming years will present new challenges for Big Rivers, but we are confident that the proven adaptability of our workforce, plus the financial improvements and power contracts solidified in 2020, place us in a powerful position. We are excited to improve service to our member owners today while incorporating new opportunities for stability and excellence moving forward.
Thank you, Bob. Next, we welcome Ernie Peterson, TVA General Manager.
2020. The word of the year has to be unprecedented. I believe I've heard that word more this year than all other years combined, and rightfully so. We all have had to deal with things we never thought we would experience, like this mask. Just like your electric cooperative, TVA has not been exempt from the unprecedented nature of 2020. Let me walk you through a few of our highlights for this year. Safety was unprecedented in a good way. During FY 2020, TVA had our lowest recordable incident rate on record at 0.33. Financially, the year was odd as well. While our power sales were down 4%, energy revenue was down 5%, our total spend was down 9%, allowing a TVA pandemic credit to be passed back to our local power companies starting in October. In addition, TVA's debt is lower than it's been in the last 30 years. TVA's diverse generation fleet performed well over the year, allowing the fuel rate to be 8% below the plan and allowing 5 nines reliability for the 20th year in a row. The fleet is cleaner also. At times this year, 3/4 of the energy needs of the valley was being produced with zero carbon emission sources. The most unprecedented part of our generation assets was the hydro system. 12 straight months of above average rainfall in FY 2020 led to the total rainfall that was 155% of normal, the most ever in 131 years of record keeping. Calendar years 2018, 19, and 20 will be the wettest 3 individual years in the Valley's history. Last, but certainly not least, in this list of unprecedented highlights from 2020 is the TVA COVID-19 response efforts. The internal TVA pandemic plan had been around for years and always seemed so far-fetched to me. However, I now credit that plan for a relatively smooth transition of our workforce during the COVID-19 crisis. The plan allowed the generating plant's workforce, as well as the transmission crews, to continue to operate with minimum staff and minimum exposure. The remaining workforce was equipped to work remotely and is still in remote work status today. While the internal TVA plan was designed pre-COVID, the external pandemic response plan was much more design-as-you-go type plan. The initial response was to develop the Public Power Support and Stabilization Program that would allow local power companies to postpone paying part of their wholesale invoice if there was a financial need. TVA also relaxed some of its regulatory items that allowed LPCs to have local control over disconnects and fees. Then TVA developed a community cares program that gave $2 million of matching funds for local power companies to give to local community support groups. TVA worked with LPCs to develop communications materials about places to find community support programs. TVA also waived requirements for industrial customer credits and forgave a month of demand charges for large customers as they came back online after a COVID shutdown. In October, TVA began another round of the community care funds, along with giving each LPC a 2.5% pandemic credit on their wholesale bill to assist with the unprecedented expenses of the COVID pandemic. So was 2020 unprecedented? Absolutely. However, I am convinced we all will be smarter, stronger, and more agile because of the events of 2020. Now, y'all be safe out there.
Thank you, Ernie. Next, we welcome Tony Campbell, CEO at East Kentucky Power Cooperative.
Thank you, Joe. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be with you. I want to give you just a brief update about East Kentucky Power Cooperative. Obviously, 2020 has been an extremely challenging year. Most importantly is to protect our employees from this virus. We've taken a lot of extraordinary measures to do that, and we continue to do that, and will until the end of the virus. The other thing is we lost a lot of load. Probably 15-20% of our load was lost in March and April. Thankfully, a lot of that came back. We're probably within 5% of our budget the other months following March and April. Our margins for 2020 are just okay. We may be $6 to $8 million above our projected budget margins. Last year, to give you a comparable, in 2019, we were over $20 million, $25 million higher than our budget. So we're not having a banner year, but we will meet all of our debt obligations in 2020. Thankfully, we had a good year in 2019, so our board decided again to pay capital credits, and we did that in the middle of the year. And then the other thankful thing about the virus, I guess not really thankful, but it's happening, and that is that the market has been so low. We have been arbitraging PJM market and saved lots of money, probably $10 a megawatt hour to the end consumer below what we budgeted. And so all the savings we're getting in that arbitrage we're passing through on our FAC. I think economic development is going okay. We had a lot of projects in the pipeline that are doing well. Unfortunately, we're seeing that pipeline dry up. And that's kind of a precursor sign to an economy that is sick. So we're a little concerned about future recession on the economy. And then the reliability challenge, we think, is the biggest thing we're faced with here at East Kentucky. We're concerned about carbon tax. We have a team that's trying to fight some of those individuals out there that are promoting a carbon tax. And with all that, we're concerned about reliability because there's too many base load plants that are just being closed. A lot of nuclear plants are looking at closing because they're not competitive in the market. We saw what happened in California this summer. They had rolling blackouts because renewables didn't show up when they needed to. We're seeing some of those precursors here with that. A lot of renewables coming on the system, base load plants being closed. So East Kentucky's really going to focus on renewables in the end of this year and in 2021. What we want to make sure that everyone understands, especially our elected officials, that electricity is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. If we don't show up during peak times, either a real hot summer or a real cold winter, people will die. That concerns us. And we're going to be focused really strongly on that moving forward. With that, we look forward to 2021 and the end of 2020, and I'm sure you all do too. I hope all of you remain safe. Let's not let our guards down. Please keep wearing those masks and social distancing. We want to protect each other. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you, Tony. During his 7 terms in Congress, Jim Matheson was known as a legislator who was able to work with colleagues on both sides of the aisle. Since becoming CEO of the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association, NRECA, 4 years ago, Jim has continued to bring people together, advocating for the nation's more than 900 private, not-for-profit, consumer-owned electric cooperatives, which provide service to 42 million people in 47 states. Let's go now to NRECA and Jim Matheson.
Welcome. I appreciate the opportunity to offer these remarks. I sure wish I could be there in person, but during the pandemic situation, we're all dealing with virtual meetings these days. But I do appreciate the opportunity. I really appreciate all the things that the Kentucky Statewide Association does and the fantastic relationship it has with NRECA. Our strength is in our network across the country. And I think about how the Kentucky Statewide Association fills its mission so well. Chris Perry is such an excellent leader of that organization. I can rely on Chris if I have any questions. He gives me good advice. You are well led with Chris in charge. I also want to acknowledge Mike Williams, who's the Kentucky Director on the National Rural Electric Cooperation Board. Mike's a steady voice on our board, again, provides me a lot of advice and direction. Really appreciate his involvement at NRECA. You know, I look at the Kentucky Statewide Association, I look at an association that really embraces a lot of what we're trying to accomplish across the country. First of all, its role in our political advocacy is so important, and the Statewide Association has adopted that role so well. The relationship that you all have with your elected officials, be it members of Congress, the United States Senate, is such a powerful thing. It allows the lobbying team at NRECA to have perfect entree into those offices because they know the co-ops back home. The way that the Kentucky Statewide has encouraged and embraced the value of communications to advance the cooperative cause, both in advocacy and beyond, and all the channels that you use in terms of advancing communications. It's a great example that statewide associations across the country would benefit from learning the way things are done in Kentucky. I know the theme of this year's meeting has something to do with resilience. Boy, resilience is always important in the electric sector, but this year it really means a lot. We've been put in this situation none of us anticipated with the pandemic, and how well everyone has responded to that really is an indication that we embrace resilience in all aspects of the word, beyond just providing reliable and affordable power, but in terms of paying attention to the needs of our community and doing the right thing. I wish you all great success with this annual meeting. Good luck. Thank you for all you do. You make our job at NRECA that much easier by your good work. Thanks so much.
For 50 years, CFC has stayed true to our mission of providing capital and industry-leading financial products to America's electric cooperatives and rural utility systems. Our sole focus on the electric cooperative network sets us apart from other lenders, creating what many of our member owners call the CFC difference. This difference begins with our board of directors. We're governed by 23 experienced leaders from our member electric cooperatives. In all we do, we strive to meet the financial goals of our members today, tomorrow, and in the future.
The official name is National Rural Utilities Cooperative Finance Corporation, often referred to as CFC. Well, since he became CFC's CEO in 1995, the name Sheldon Peterson has been synonymous with the nonprofit finance cooperative. CFC now has nearly $27 billion in assets. After 37 years with CFC, Sheldon Peterson has announced his intention to retire in 2021. We thank him for his extraordinary service and wise counsel, and we welcome now Sheldon Peterson to our 74th annual meeting for these remarks.
Hi, Sheldon from CFC here. Thanks for the invitation to participate in your virtual annual meeting. I have to tell you though, the more of these recordings I make, the more I'm reminded of that old saying, we got to stop meeting like this. But I know that's wishful thinking in this very crazy year. No one could have predicted the global impact that the COVID situation has had on nearly everyone. Now, from an economic perspective, it certainly has highlighted some winners and losers. A great time to be an Amazon stockholder, not such a great time to be a Delta Airlines stockholder. It's been pretty tough on small business in America as well. We watch this kind of thing very closely, but I can report to you that the electric cooperative industry in general is doing just fine. It's been very impressive to watch how quickly co-ops adapted to a new operating environment. And quite frankly, cooperatives have shown very strong financial resilience. Now, this year's been an adventure for CFC as well. Now, moving to remote work, that was something that's very easy for us. We prepare for weather emergencies. In fact, we even practice for this kind of thing, so our systems are well suited to it. And this is just a very long weather emergency, if you will. But the money markets did pose somewhat of a challenge earlier this year. Now, everybody knows how the stock market was slammed, but fortunately it's come back very quickly. What probably most people didn't watch was the fact that the debt capital markets almost seized up. Investors started to hoard cash rather than investing it in things like commercial paper and notes because they simply didn't know what the COVID environment was going to bring. Now, fortunately, from CFC's perspective, we were able to manage our way through this. I mean, frankly, we prepare for this type of thing. We have resources available to us. We call it a stack of liquidity. That meant that the seizure in the debt capital markets really did not create a problem for us. We really never lost access to the capital markets. And I'm proud to say that a big part of that is the reputation the cooperative community has with the investors. It just goes to show that when co-ops focus on our core mission and our core principles and provide the services we do, we're recognized for the essential nature of that service. Now, the Fed has come in and intervened in the capital markets in a big way, did it very quickly and very broadly, and quite frankly, I have never seen the capital markets so good. Money is available out there in very large quantities and frankly as cheap as I've ever seen it. Now, in a few months, I will be retiring after 45 years in the electric cooperative industry. I can tell you that my opportunities to work with the cooperatives in Kentucky have been a highlight of my career. I mean, there have been some challenges, but there is so much to be proud of in terms of what you've built in our industry in Kentucky. I mean, you're just a great example of what can be accomplished by people who are truly committed to working together with a long-term view. And I am humbled by the support we have received from the state of Kentucky, and I thank you very, very much for that support of CFC. I can tell you this in leaving, never before have I been more excited about the power of the cooperative business model. I mean, frankly, it just fits hand in glove with what all American business will really need to aspire to be in the future. And when you combine local control and focus with the backup strength of the electric cooperative network, the potential is absolutely enormous. So I wish you every success in the future. You'll always have a friend at the Peterson House. And I hope someday we'll have the opportunity to have our paths cross again. Very best to you. Thank you.
The reliability of your local electric cooperative depends on many factors, such as a consistent power supply, a dedicated workforce, proactive maintenance, and clear rights of way. Behind the scenes, your co-op has another key ingredient to stay reliable and resilient: United Utility Supply, UUS. Let's go now to the Cooperative Distribution Center in Louisville for this UUS update.
Welcome to United Utility Supply. All the poles, transformers, conductor, and hardware that help safely deliver electricity to homes and businesses have to be in supply all year long, and especially when disaster strikes.
Your supplier needs to be ready to get those materials to electric co-ops when it matters.
Recognized as one of the leading material supply organizations serving the rural electric cooperative market, United Utility Supply Cooperative supplies a complete line of materials critical to the electric utility industry. UUS is owned by member cooperatives in 17 states. We are more than simply another vendor. You own us and benefit from this partnership. UUS is a full-line stocking distributor supplying a complete line of materials critical to the electric utility industry.
Headquartered at United Utility Supply's 190,000 square foot cooperative distribution center in Louisville, UUS also owns and operates warehouses in Ohio, Illinois, Alabama, and Pennsylvania. These strategic locations allow for 1 to 2 day delivery to our member cooperatives.
UUS is proud to be responsive to co-op needs and requests. For instance, with demand increasing for larger three-phase transformers, we've expanded the three-phase inventory up to 2,500 kVA. United Utility Supply Cooperative runs multiple consignment locations so your co-op can lower its inventory dollars while enjoying ready access to material. By working together with fellow co-ops across our 17-state footprint, we're an effective buying arm for your cooperative, securing cost savings and access to in-demand material.
Your co-op also benefits from trusted relationships UUS maintains with manufacturers and vendors. UUS participates in vendor-managed inventory programs and stock and release practices to help fulfill inventory needs. We work with our vendors and our members to forecast future demands so we can anticipate your co-op's needs. Meanwhile, we continue to innovate our warehouse management practices that have made UUS an industry leader. By upgrading our inventory software and internal scanning systems, UUS software is integrated with both manufacturers and local co-ops. What that means for your local co-op is an efficient way to order the material you need. Make sure you check out our easy-to-use website and app for convenient ordering.
We know that emergencies happen all hours of the day and night. United Utility Supply is on call 24/7. We provide our members with mobile numbers of our key staff and sales team. Weekends, holidays, whenever we get an emergency call, UUS puts everything in motion. With knowledge, experience, and understanding of the applications of the products we offer, our sales force is a true partner for co-op planning. At some co-ops, our sales team work hand in hand with the engineer to make recommendations before you place your orders. United Utility Supply is not only the source for your electrical supply needs, but also a resource for our member cooperatives.
Our certified, safe, and experienced drivers pride themselves on being a key part of this superior customer service experience. Our UUS delivery fleet is designed for safe and efficient offloading, including lift gates, a flatbed with a Moffett attached forklift, and a curtain side trailer, which is especially helpful when delivering to non-dock locations. We also offer a job site trailer delivered to customers' remote location and staged there until the job is complete.
Our drivers, sales team, and all of us have adopted safety protocols during the pandemic. We look forward to the day when we can see you at your co-ops and when we can again invite you to visit any of the United Utility Supply Cooperative warehouses.
Hello, how are you? So we are out here for the 83rd annual meeting. You have ID for me, hon? It's a little different than before because of the COVID-19, but we are out here with our iPads and we are getting people registered.
All right, let me get you registered here, bud.
We want to be there for our members and just let them know that, you know, we're still doing this for them.
All right, there you go. And Mr. Shaw has your bucket for you, okay? Thank you for coming by.
It's important to do this because like our members are used to this and this is what we do for them. This is how we serve them.
Hello, how are you doing? It is a nice day, I'll tell you that.
Lovely day.
It is. Couldn't ask for better weather.
You know, I've been doing this for 15 years now, and this is a new experience, yes, sir. And you know, one of the things we're doing is, you know, we're keeping our distance from our members because, you know, we want to keep them safe and want them to think that that they're being safe as they come through.
Are you taking my picture?
I love, you know, being around people and making people feel good, so it's been fun.
Wait, there's your ID back, hon, and Mr. Shaw has your bucket, okay? Thank y'all for coming by.
There you go. Have a nice day.
Kentucky's electric cooperatives serve more than 1.5 million people, about 35% of the state's population in 117 of Kentucky's 120 counties. This statewide association is governed by a board which consists of one manager and one director from each of the 26 member systems and is headquartered in Louisville. The success of the Kentucky Electric Cooperatives Board is tied to the active participation of board members and engaged committees. To kick off these committee reports, here is Shelby Energy CEO Jack Bragg, the chair of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Joe. The Finance Committee works closely with the Kentucky Electric Cooperatives finance team, who've done a great job providing us with timely and pertinent information. Among our highlights from the past year are the successful financial audit of 2019, positive financial margins, and United Utility supply growth. In a moment, Richard Lacey of the association staff will update these financials in greater detail. I encourage you to consult the Kentucky Electric Cooperatives annual report mailed to all co-ops for more information. Our committee hosted 6 meetings in 2020. There's been a lot to discuss. Of course, co-ops this year have been dealing with unusual pressures, particularly in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. The Finance Committee has worked to ensure that the decisions and priorities of the statewide association board reflect the financial realities of co-op members. Each co-op is unique and has to assess specific needs and policies. That reality was apparent as the federal government rolled out its Paycheck Protection Program. The PPP became a useful tool for many co-ops. It was important for co-ops to have proper guidance as they determine if these forgivable loans were appropriate for their specific co-op. We were pleased to lead these discussions and facilitate this information. Another highlight is the successful ERMCO capital credit distribution show with Kentucky Electric Cooperative owner members. Approximately $1.2 million in these capital credit distributions in 2020 helped the bottom line of co-ops across Kentucky. I want to thank my fellow Finance Committee members for their dedication and insight. Now I'd like to turn it over to the Chief Financial Officer of Kentucky Electric Cooperatives, Richard Lacey.
Thank you. As Jack mentioned, despite the pandemic, Kentucky Electric Cooperatives and United Utility Supply have enjoyed an overall strong financial performance in 2020. Because of strategic investments in infrastructure and technology over the last several years, we were and are well equipped to work with the challenges presented by the COVID-19 situation. So I'm pleased to share several other factors contributing to this resilience and performance. Customer focus and operational efficiency improvements have provided a 65% improvement of net income. An increase in product sales accounts for a growth in gross profit of nearly 9% over last year. In addition, overall expenses were reduced by about $200,000. Operationally, we've been able to not only control inventory, but our inventory turns are up to 4.4 times a year. At the same time, we've maintained a 95% fill rate with the inventory we're currently holding. This highlights the fact that we have rebalanced inventory to focus on the products that are in highest demand by our customers. So at the beginning of the pandemic, we borrowed an additional $2.5 million on our line of credit in order to ensure liquidity in case of a business downturn. We've since paid that back and have a comfortable cash balance that should allow more pay down by the end of the year. After regaining some business, there's now less new business to capture in our markets. As we finalize the budget, we anticipate maintaining current sales levels after our accelerated sales growth this year. In addition, with an uncertain health environment in 2021, this budget assumes somewhat higher expenses as we ultimately begin to return to a more normal environment. So we are very pleased to share more information in our annual report and appreciate all the co-ops whose partnership with Kentucky Electric Cooperatives and United Utility Supply has contributed to our strong financial performance. Thank you.
By definition, a cooperative is responsible for and accountable to its members. That's why Kentucky's electric cooperatives prioritize board governance. The governance committee of the statewide association is chaired by Alan Arman of the Owen Electric and East Kentucky Power Cooperative boards. Alan?
Thanks, Joe. The ongoing Kentucky Electric Cooperatives theme of reliable, resilient, responsive is so fitting for the governance efforts of the statewide association. Since its founding in 1948, this association has seen many changes, each generation responsive to the needs and the demands of the times. To be resilient, an organization needs to be willing to look under the hood and continually transform to meet the challenges of the day. The Governance Committee has taken the challenge of this generation to heart with the creation of a new board committee structure that reflects the board's priorities and the association's commitment to the co-op service. This process includes a complete review and overhaul of all board policies and procedures, 25 in total, recognizing technological opportunities to advance the goals of the association, the Governance Committee is exploring an electronic platform for document storage and retrieval. In 2020, with the assistance and expertise of the association staff, we transformed the interview and election process for the CFC Director position to adhere to pandemic safety restrictions. With questions prepared by the committee, the statewide association staff recorded remote interviews for review by the board. The election itself was conducted virtually with a live vote according to the published election procedures. It was truly an example of resilience during the challenging time. Just as we are all grateful to the previous generations who founded our co-ops, the Governance Committee hopes that future generations will look favorably upon the efforts of this board. Thank you.
As we heard at the beginning of this program, and we cannot stress enough, safety is the top priority of electric cooperatives. From the safety of local consumer members to the well-being of co-op employees, it is all of our jobs to insist on safe practices, standards, and habits. Leading this safety culture on the Kentucky Electric Cooperatives Board is the Safety Committee, which is chaired by Carol Wright, the CEO of Jackson Energy. Let's go now to Jackson Energy and Carol.
Thanks, Joe. I'm pleased to report that all the safety committees have been very active and are committed to improving the safety culture in 2020. The Board Safety Committee hosted 4 full committee meetings. The Safety Subcommittee held 5 meetings. And the Safety and Loss Prevention Team engaged multiple co-op personnel with working groups who were charged with the task of creating the best practices work documents. I will provide a brief overview of all of the efforts of these committees in this report. During these times of social distancing, the Safety and Loss Prevention Team of Kentucky Electric Cooperatives is expanding its reach and finding new ways to communicate and engage co-op personnel. Because of COVID-19 restrictions, many safety visits to co-ops were transformed into remote safety meetings. The launch of a new video series spotlights safety tips and safety moments. Meanwhile, the Connections video series introduces us to local line technicians and their co-op story. Despite the pandemic, the Safety and Loss Prevention Team continues to administer the Rural Electric Safety Achievement Program, or RESAP for short. By participating in the RESAP program, co-ops gain a framework for continuous improvement of safety performance and culture. To respect coronavirus safety concerns, the 2020 Kentucky Lineman's Rodeo was canceled, but we're hopeful to resume this annual showcase of safety skills at Jackson Purchase Energy in 2021. I am very proud to announce that we have 100% cooperative participation in the 2020 Safety Commitment statewide goals. Kentucky has made progress in a few of these areas, but there is room for improvement. These goals also complement the Commitment to Zero Contacts campaign and NRECA goals. The Safety Subcommittee has been very active in the creation of best practices documents for use by member co-ops to advance the safety culture. So far, the committee has approved best practices guidelines for lineman apprentice training, job briefings, hitching and towing for bucket and digger trucks, and mutual aid. Other best practices guidelines in the pipeline include documents related to de-energizing lines and equipment and a compliance standards template. Despite all of this activity in Kentucky, our co-ops have continued to participate in mutual aid efforts both within the Commonwealth and outside of Kentucky. And of particular note are the deployment of 87 co-op employees to help restore power to Baldwin EMC in Alabama after Hurricane Sally in September, and 73 Kentucky co-op employees who helped restore power at Beauregard Electric Cooperative in Louisiana after Hurricane Delta in October. I would like to thank my fellow members of the Board Safety Committee and the Safety Subcommittee for your commitment to improve the safety culture in Kentucky. I would like to recognize the safety professionals at Kentucky Electric Cooperatives for all their work and support to these committees. Thank you to all the leadership and the safety personnel across Kentucky for making safety a priority. I look forward to seeing the results of all of our work in the coming year. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Hello everyone. Chris, thanks a lot for inviting me to be on your annual meeting. Really appreciate the time I've been given. With that, how could we not mention the word COVID and have an annual meeting? Co-ops across the country have had to adopt a lot of new work practices and et cetera as we deal with this. But one of the areas I want to focus on real quick is commitment to zero, making sure our linemen go home every night. Greg Grisham, who's on our board of directors, I can promise you, spends a lot of time in this area, a lot of concern. 4 simple life-saving rules. Use your gloves and sleeves. We found that 42.8% of our employee electrical contacts came when that was not being done. Apply proper insulating materials or cover-up. Again, our study showed 9.5% of the times we had contacts, that was the reason. Make sure you're using proper clearance procedures. And last but not least, 47.6% of these accidents happened when our linemen failed to test the lines and apply their personal grounds. If we can have our linemen follow these 4 rules, we can eliminate 99.9% of all these tragic accidents. Now, this would be a time in the program where Chris loves, this is normally when I present the loss control check back to the statewide to help them fund safety activities. And we put a check in the mail, so Chris, I hope you got it. It's for a total of $175,064. With that, everybody be safe, stay healthy, and thanks a lot.
The creation of the board's Member Outreach Committee reflects the statewide association's commitment to co-op member engagement, from the proven effectiveness of Kentucky Living magazine to the challenges of navigating the pros and cons of digital media. Please welcome now the chair of the Member Outreach Committee, Fleming Mason Energy President and CEO, Joni Hazelrig.
Thanks, Joe. Never has reliable communications from your local electric co-op been more critical than during a pandemic. And I am proud to say that co-op communicators continue to meet this challenge. The Member Outreach Committee has met 4 times this year as we assess how co-ops are engaging with their membership. Congratulations to the communications team for national recognition for Kentucky Living magazine, which has received more than a dozen awards. And speaking of awards, Kentucky Living's 2020 Best in Kentucky Awards went entirely virtual this year because of the pandemic. The awards included our Governor Andy Beshear announcing 2020 Beautify the Bluegrass winners, modified for social distancing. Kentucky Living also continues to adapt to co-op priorities, launching 2 new columns in 2020. Safety Moment allows local co-op safety professionals to share safety advice with readers. And the Business Spotlight column supports the economic development efforts of co-ops celebrating the success of businesses that operate in co-op territory. To reflect how Kentucky Living has continued to evolve in response to co-op priorities, we are excited to announce that the redesign of the magazine will be launched in March of 2021. The Member Outreach Committee has made a special effort to review advertising and circulation policies for Kentucky Living, especially as the communications team work to contain costs. We are continuing to evaluate and encourage all co-ops to fully participate in the statewide association's communications efforts. The same team, which produces Kentucky Living, also partners with local co-op communicators to publish customized local sections in each issue and applies their talents to an ever-expanding portfolio of communication support. Throughout the COVID-19 crisis, the communications team has worked to produce customizable graphic packages to help co-ops relay important information. such as LIHEAP funding, scam alerts, U.S. Census reminders, and reassuring messages from the co-op. These graphics have been very successfully used both in print and on social media to reach every member possible. These new packages I just mentioned are in addition to the monthly local news service and safety materials supplied by Kentucky Electric Cooperatives. And if you have not subscribed to the daily email newsletter provided exclusively for co-op staff and board members to stay informed on COVID-19 and co-op issues, be sure to email the statewide association and let them know you want to be added to the list. Throughout the crisis, the communications team has hosted regular calls for local co-ops to share lessons learned and experiences from the various regions of the state. As local co-ops modified annual meeting plans because of the pandemic, the statewide association's planning paid off. The demand for buckets and bulbs was about double the 2019 amounts. The communications team also delivered thousands of giveaway recipe cards from Kentucky Living and the co-op's vote notepads. An important facet of co-op outreach efforts is the youth tour program. Though COVID-19 canceled the 2020 Frankfort Youth Tour and Washington Youth Tour, Kentucky Electric Co-ops made special efforts to recognize the students who were chosen for the honor and keep them engaged in civic activities. We hope to tap Youth Tour alumni to grow the grassroots community of co-op members on ruralpowerky.com. and as part of the co-op's vote initiative in partnership with the Kentucky Secretary of State. The September issue of Kentucky Living magazine spotlighted all of the students selected for the Washington Youth Tour. This program selected Miss Hannah Monsanto of South Kentucky RECC as Kentucky's representative on the Youth Leadership Council. As I thank my fellow committee members and the statewide communications team for their efforts this year, I'm proud to welcome Hannah to the annual meeting to share her thoughts on leadership and the Youth Tour program. Hannah?
Thank you. It is an honor to address the statewide association. People outside of our Commonwealth may know us as the home of the Derby or the horse capital of the world. For those of us who call Kentucky home, Kentucky is family and lifelong friends, pass down traditions and recipes and endless opportunities to grow into the best person you could possibly be. My name is Hannah Monsanto. I'm 17 years old and I'm from CoBank, Kentucky. It is my pleasure to represent Kentucky Co-ops and my co-op, South Kentucky RECC, on the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association Youth Leadership Council. What is true leadership? It can be standing up for your rights or your passions. It can be leading a team into a business strategy or being a role model. I believe anyone can become a valuable leader with the right amount of discipline, passion, and integrity. These are the values that guide me, and as a rising senior at Somerset Christian School, my leadership opportunities have included serving on student government and becoming a member of National Honor Society as well as Youth Salute. When I'm not at school, I can typically be found at my part-time job at Baxter's Coffee Shop, where I've developed communication skills with guests, coworkers, and my managers. My leadership skills are put to the test training new employees and taking charge in uncomfortable situations. As an active member of Danville First Church of God, I've served on my youth leadership team and played guitar. And upon my graduation from the Tri-Level Student Leadership Institute, I was accepted into their internship program. Beyond academics and volunteer work, and in the end, I hope my personality shines through. I'm an Enneagram Type 4, which means I'm an individualist. I focus on authenticity and honesty, both emotionally and through my work. I strive for anything that helps others express themselves and work to the fullest of their abilities. I like to spend my free time creatively. I love photography, writing poetry, reading suspense novels, and especially the theater.
Whether as a stagehand or a performer, the freedom to present myself in a new light, each performance inspires me. I'm thankful for community theater such as West Sea Hill Community Theater that has nurtured actors and actresses for generations. I plan on attending a four-year university. Though I'm unsure of my major, I know that in the future I want to help address the drug epidemic that has swept across our country. I have a passion to provide rehab in areas that desperately need it, and I want to help improve lives and communities. Kentucky most certainly isn't perfect, and neither are the people in it, but passionate people acting with discipline can make the world a better place. And that's what electric cooperatives are all about, and I'm proud to represent Kentucky co-ops on the Youth Leadership Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm Mary Beth Dennis, Director of Cooperative Outreach at Kentucky Electric Cooperatives. Over the last 30 years, the WIRE program of Kentucky's electric cooperatives has granted more than $100,000 in scholarships for Kentucky college students from co-op service territories. Scholarships are awarded based on academic achievement, extracurricular activities, career goals, recommendations from professors and community leaders, and financial need. Though the pandemic has prevented the traditional annual meeting silent auction to benefit this year's scholarships, Kentucky Electric Cooperatives is pleased, with the assistance of our annual meeting sponsors, to fund 3 $1,000 scholarships in 2020. Congratulations to Ashley Evans, Bluegrass Energy, Brianna Ward, Kenergy, and Zach Taylor, Salt River Electric. And thank you for your support of WIRE and the young people of Kentucky.
Greetings on this beautiful fall day here in Virginia, and thank you to all our friends in Kentucky for inviting NRTC to be part of your special online annual meeting. If we've learned anything from this awful pandemic, it's the resiliency of our electric cooperative network and the importance of communities and connectivity. The connections you facilitate through the delivery of energy, and now, for some of you, through broadband, are more critical than ever. You enable businesses to persevere. You allow families to work from home, to learn from home, even to watch ice hockey from home. NRTC is proud to support your efforts through our Smart Grid and Broadband Solutions groups. If we can help you meet today's challenges or plan for tomorrow, please reach out to us. Have a great annual meeting.
Navigating legislative and regulatory issues is a challenge for any organization. And developments on those fronts for electric co-ops in Kentucky this past year have again brought new challenges and opportunities to the co-op program. Please welcome now the chair of the Legislative, Regulatory, Legal Committee of the Kentucky Electric Cooperatives Board, the president and CEO of Meade County RECC, Marty Littrell.
Thanks, Joe. It has been a very busy year for the Legislative, Regulatory, and Legal Committee, with 7 committee meetings and many discussions throughout the year. Before the pandemic hit, our co-op program had already succeeded in a grassroots effort to prevent a sales tax from being added to electric bills. Legislators across the Commonwealth made it known to us they had heard this message loud and clear, thanks to us leveraging the reach of Kentucky Living Magazine and the launch of ruralpowerky.com. The grassroots website is a tool Kentuckians can use to contact their legislators, and it worked. Our legislative reception at Buffalo Trace on January 28th was very well attended, an overall success. In addition to the win on the sales tax issue, other co-op legislative issues in 2020 include advocacy for a more favorable regulatory environment to help bring broadband to rural Kentucky, a careful eye on the future of net metering and how our legislative victory on that issue in 2019 is translating to the future, electric vehicle issues including funding for charging stations, right-of-way policies, the ongoing legal challenge to local governments attempting to use electric cooperatives as a tax collectors for 911 fees, working with Kentucky Electric Cooperatives Legal Counsel to secure satisfactory remedy to the Windstream bankruptcy case, PSC regulations, and PO attachment policies. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected our committee and co-ops in several ways, as some local co-op members found it more difficult to pay their bills during the pandemic. We have worked with LIHEAP and Community Action Kentucky to maximize the funding opportunities for co-op members. To that end, we hosted the Executive Director of Community Action Kentucky on a conference call related to COVID-19 funding. We have worked throughout the pandemic to try to educate elected leaders and regulators about the effect of a disconnect moratorium on the operation of electric cooperatives. We have stayed in regular contact with the PSC, facilitating data requests and relaying important information. We have also stayed engaged with the Governor's Office on his more wide-reaching moratorium on non-regulated utilities. As Jack mentioned in the Finance Committee report, the Paycheck Protection Program is an important tool for some co-ops who choose to participate in the program. Our committee worked with the government relations team to make sure that our elected leaders understood that access to the Paycheck Protection Program was a priority for Kentucky co-ops. It's a bigger ask, but we also have been very engaged on the effort to allow co-ops to refinance their rural utility service debt. Working with the NRECA, we have delivered our points to Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Senator Rand Paul, and other members of Congress. Because of coronavirus, the 2020 Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. was canceled, and we are anxiously awaiting word on the 2021 plan. Now, with more on legislative agenda and the Sure and Acre report, we turn to the Community and Government Affairs Director of Kentucky Electric Cooperatives, Chase Krigler.
Thanks, Marty. On behalf of Chairman Howard and the Sure Executive Subcommittee, it's my pleasure to update you on the successes of Acre and Sure in 2020. Clearly this year has been like no other, but the important work of these advocacy coalitions has continued. The Action Committee for Rural Electrification, or ACRE, is the political action committee of America's electric cooperatives. In 2020, this federal PAC reports 29,376 members who have contributed more than $1.8 million. Kentucky's ACRE membership to date includes 848 members who have contributed more than $46,000. Meanwhile, the Executive Subcommittee for Speak Up for Rural Electrification PAC here in Kentucky has again been extremely successful in directing Sure funds to candidates who support and understand cooperative principles and interests. The committee met twice this year to discuss contributions in the primary election in June and the general election in November. In the June primary, the committee decided to support 11 candidates in the State House and State Senate for a total of $7,500. Of the 11 candidates supported, 10 won their primaries for a 90.9 success rate. In the general election, the committee supported 57 Kentucky House and Senate candidates for a total of $33,250. Of the 57 candidates supported, 50 won their races for a success rate of 87%. The committee also authorized expenditures to campaign caucus committees of both the majority and minority parties of both the Kentucky House and Senate, totaling $15,750. After those contributions, Sure currently has $50,941.64 in its account as of October 31st, 2020, with no expenditures expected for the balance of the year. With no anticipated elections in 2021, Sure's expenditures should be considerably less. In coordination with Chairman Howard, Sure will hold its annual meeting virtually on December 17th at 10 a.m. to allow eligible members the opportunity to elect members of the Sure Executive Subcommittee for 2021. Details on this call will be provided in the coming weeks. Thank you again to our members of the Sure Executive Subcommittee for their work, and thank you to each of our members. Your support and contributions ensure we can continue to effectively advocate for safe, reliable, and affordable energy for each and every co-op member across the Commonwealth.
And now, addressing the Kentucky Electric Cooperatives annual meeting for the 7th time as President and CEO is Chris Perry with his Year in Review presentation.
Thank you, Joe. I look forward every year to our annual meeting. It's an opportunity to catch up with friends and highlight the year's accomplishments of co-ops and our association. For me, this meeting is somewhat the unofficial kickoff for the holiday season. Unfortunately, this year is different. There is no banquet. There is no chance to shake hands and visit in the hall. I miss our cooperative community, and I look forward to our next opportunity to get together. But safety comes first. This meeting is being conducted virtually with your safety in mind. With safety as a core cooperative principle, I will always be cautious and make safety a guiding factor in all our decisions. This time last year, who could have imagined the incredible and near crippling impact of a global pandemic? I am proud of the response and the resilience of our cooperative program tackling the many challenges of 2020. The theme of this year's annual meeting is resilient. When I think of resilience, I think of strength, I think of the ability to find courage to keep going. I think of perseverance. In short, I think of cooperatives. Resilience is built into the cooperative DNA. The history of every cooperative includes the story of a group of individuals who, despite numerous challenges, decided to take meaningful action to bring electricity to their community. That cooperative resilience is affirmed in every generation. I think of the countless obstacles cooperatives have had to overcome throughout my career. For instance, many of you will remember retail wheeling. We heard how Enron would eat our lunch, and later how retail competition would reveal our lack of competitiveness. They said co-ops couldn't compete. How about the snowstorm of '94? How about the ice storms of 2003 and 2009, or the Great Recession of 2008? I could go on and on about challenges co-ops have faced. Every time our mission, our people, and our response has been resilient. When you're focused on making your community better, when you have a servant heart, you will get through the hard times. What makes co-ops resilient? I suggest there's 3 keys to co-op resilience: a clear assignment, understanding the job, and focused determination. Kentucky Electric Cooperatives has a clear assignment from you, our owners, to support the mission of local cooperatives across Kentucky. Every aspect of our association business is committed to helping you do your job. We rely on clear guidance by our association board. I want to thank the Board Governance Committee for their hard work this year reviewing and modernizing our policies and our governance practices. This effort helps us better identify our tasks and perform our jobs. Another important part of our cooperative assignment is to keep you and your consumer members informed. Our communications department has risen to the challenge and done amazing work this year. In addition to keeping our already robust communications portfolio on track, the team added new support materials such as critical social media messaging, high-quality video, and a daily newsletter that is a reliable source of the information you need to know, presented in a clear and concise format. Our assignment is to support our member cooperatives and help each co-op effectively communicate with their membership, especially at a stressful time of ever-changing rules and regulations. A second key to co-op resilience is understanding the job. As I mentioned, safety is a core co-op value. We cannot get the work done if it is not done safely. I want to thank each cooperative for their commitment to be safe and the support of both our board safety committee and our safety subcommittee made up of operations and safety professionals from across the state. The response of Kentucky Electric Cooperatives to the COVID-19 pandemic echoes this co-op commitment to safety. Throughout this year, your statewide association has acted to prioritize the safety of all employees and board members. We have hosted countless meetings, coordinate efforts, and learn from each other about how to safely operate, keep the lights on, and responsibly serve the public. I also want to commend our safety team for their work with your personnel while adhering to social distancing guidelines. Partnering with our communications team, they are producing videos to keep safety messaging current and top of mind at local cooperatives. In addition, a new innovative video series with co-op linemen has been very popular and helps all co-op personnel both hear the safety message and get to know co-op professionals. And finally, in a very busy hurricane season, our safety team has coordinated mutual aid efforts and visited on site with power restoration crews to both address their needs and relay important information about working safely in difficult conditions. I'm unaware of any incidents during the storm response, and I thank God for the safe return of our dedicated crews. Our United Utility Supply operation has also had a great year. It is hard to believe that our sales have been so strong during a pandemic, but this success is not by chance. This is where understanding the job is a key component of co-op resilience. The UUS operations staff diligent work over the last few years paid off this year. We were prepared. Inventory turns are above industry standards and approaching best in class. Margins are strong, and year-over-year growth is bolstered by our strategic decisions on both transformer inventory and conductor sales. Our commitment to working with and for our member owners throughout the country is unwavering. We continue to return capital credits, and our equity continues to grow. Our fill rate, the metric we use to track how well we are filling orders, has steadily improved due to intelligent work of our purchasing team. Better forecasting, quality relationships with suppliers, and our partnerships with your cooperative team allows us to stock more accurately and be prepared when you need us. Finally, resilience results from having a focused determination. There is no better example of determination and focus than in our political engagement. We have all heard how important politics were in the formative, foundational years of our cooperative program. We've been taught that if we don't stay politically engaged, we put our future into the hands of others. Your cooperative association today enjoys a solid relationship in the political world. We punch above our weight. The political influence and strength of the cooperative program are a direct result of your local contact with elected officials. You are the secret strength that is difficult for most any other group to replicate. When co-ops meet with elected leaders, the presence of local cooperative leaders who represent local voters is a critical element of our engagement. We flexed this cooperative muscle in our campaign this year to educate elected officials about how adding a sales tax to residential energy usage would adversely affect their constituents. Our grassroots campaign made an impact. We have heard from legislators that our message is still on their minds. Now, we are assessing how the 2020 election results will influence cooperative strategy moving forward. The Kentucky legislature is now overwhelmingly Republican and rural. Our relationships are more important than ever. We must continue to not only foster existing relationships, but also forge new relationships with more than 20 new members that will take office in January. Please, get engaged. Sign up our grassroots portal, ruralpowerky.com, and help us build these crucial relationships. On the federal level, runoff elections in Georgia in January will determine whether the U.S. Senate majority will still be led by Mitch McConnell. The agenda of a Joe Biden administration, meanwhile, may be problematic for Kentucky, including environmental and regulatory policies that do not value the reliability and competitiveness of Kentucky's energy mix. We will continue to work with co-op power suppliers in Kentucky and with NRTC so policymakers understand both the consequences of policies and the importance of maintaining reliable and affordable energy for our members. I am very proud of our cooperative efforts this year on the federal level. As the pandemic worsened, Kentucky Electric Cooperatives kept our congressional delegation up to date on what was happening here at home. During virtual meetings of Kentucky co-op managers, both Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Congressman Andy Barr discussed these issues and listened to our concerns. Upon the urging of co-op leaders, Kentucky's congressional leaders helped secure co-op eligibility for PPP loans. Meanwhile, from the beginning of the state's utility disconnect moratorium, Kentucky Electric Cooperatives has worked to minimize the impact. Early on, our dialogue with regulators, industry partners, and elected officials raised awareness of important issues. We have also developed messaging support and graphics campaigns to help local co-ops connect their members with resources to help them keep current on bills. Most important is the response of our cooperatives. You kept the lights on even when you weren't getting paid. You've responded to outages and kept your employees safe. Thank you so much for your hard work, communications, and allowing our cooperative spirit to come through. Let me conclude by thanking our employees all over the country. They have adapted to pandemic restrictions to get the work done, and done well. You can see our financial condition is strong. Our transparency and communication are best in the country. Our team's attitude is to always find a way to serve co-ops, whatever it takes. Imagine 1 year from now how excited we can hopefully be to again meet in person, celebrate the Distinguished Rural Kentuckian Award, and visit with our friends. Despite all the challenges, we can look back at 2020 and consider how resilient we are. At Kentucky Electric Cooperatives, we have a clear assignment. We understand the job, and we push on with a focused determination. I am honored and humbled for the opportunity to serve you and your members. Thank you.
Again, on behalf of everyone here at the Statewide Association, thank you for joining us for this 74th Kentucky Electric Cooperatives annual meeting. A special thanks to the annual meeting sponsors. They stepped up to underwrite this production. Thank you, CFC, CoBank, Federated, NRTC, and United Utility Supply. Board members and those who have registered to participate in a brief business session of this annual meeting at 11:30 can now log on to the Microsoft Teams link sent to you in your registration materials. If you have any trouble with that link, you can email Kelly Gibson, that's kgibson@kyelectric.coop, kgibson@kyelectric.coop with any questions about that link. Well, stay safe and healthy. Happy Thanksgiving, and we hope to certainly see you in person soon.